Hi guys, Mr. Gillen here, and in this video we're going to talk about negative numbers. Topic you might have seen before, but it is so important that we understand it, we're going to have a wee look at it again. So, negative numbers are numbers that are below zero. Temperature is probably one of the best examples where negative number can be seen and you are familiar with. So, if we have a thermometer, then you can clearly see that above the zero, there's the zero there, the numbers are all positive, and below the zero, the numbers are negative. And the further away that they get from zero, the bigger the numbers become. So, if the temperature is rising, so if it's going up the way, then we can say it's getting warmer. And if the temperature goes down the way, then we can say it's getting colder. And that's the best way to think about it. If you've not already got one on your jotter, you might want to draw in one of these thermometers with the negative numbers to make this whole thing a bit easier for you. Trust me, it will come in handy. So, let's look at some examples then. So, what's 4 degrees up from 12 degrees Celsius? Well, the word up suggests that it's going to be adding, so we're going to get warmer. So 12 degrees, 4 degrees up from there is 16 degrees. 8 down from 10 degrees Celsius, if it's going down, it's getting colder, so it's getting closer to zero and then possibly dropping below it. So it's going to be 10 take away 8, so that's 2 degrees Celsius. 3 up from negative 2 degrees Celsius. Let's think about that one. It's starting at a negative number, so if we quickly were to think about a number line or our thermometer, if that's 0, we've got -1, -2, and we'll put in 1, 2, 3. If we're starting at -2 and it's going to go 3 up, then it's still going to get warmer, isn't it? It's going to go that way. So it's going to become -2 add 3, which is 1. So 1 degree Celsius. 6 down from 2 degrees. Well, again, down suggests that it's going to get colder. There's 2 degrees there. If it's going to go down 6 degrees, it's going to pass 0 degrees and go into the negative numbers. So we can say that 6 down from 2 is -4. Sometimes we might not talk though about temperatures, and we might just talk about generally adding or subtracting, which we'll come on to eventually, negative numbers. Adding a negative number is the same as subtracting that number. Okay. So if we had 4 add -5, there's 4 there on the thermometer. It's going to go down 5 degrees, -1. So our answer is -1. Hopefully you saw how we've used that thermometer there to find that answer. -4 degrees, and we're adding 7. So we're starting at -4. We're going to add 7 on, so we're going to get warmer. So it's going to go up the way to 3 degrees. So our answer is 3. -2 add -3. So that means we're going to start at -2. We'll get that blue, the cold, so it's going to go down the way. It's going down 3, so it's going to move to -5. -2 add -3 is equal to -5. And that's a good way to start thinking about negative numbers. Another very, very common place that we see negative numbers is in bank accounts. You'll have seen bank accounts before. This is known as being overdrawn, and this negative number of money is the amount that you would owe to the bank. So let's look at an example with that. Heather's balance is overdrawn by £50. She deposits £150. What is her new balance? So that is the equivalent of she's minus £50. She owes the bank £50. She's put in 150. So her new balance is £100. Negative 50. If you want to write it a bit nicer, negative 50 add 150. More complex example, Craig's balance is £400. He pays bills worth £315 and then withdraws £200. What is his new balance? So the word withdraw means to take out. If we're going to withdraw £200, it possibly means he's went to a cash machine and he's taken out £200. So the first thing we need to do, if he's paying bills, remember back to when we looked at income and expenditure. If he's paying a bill, it's expenditure. It's going to be a subtract. So we've got 400, take away 315, which is equal to 85. So it's £85 in his bank account. He's then going to withdraw £200. So he takes out £200. And that leaves him negative £115. Now, that's quite a hard sum to do in your head. 85 take away 200. Not the easiest one to do. So what could we do instead? Well, we could say, or we could look at it in this way. 200 take away 85 equals 115. Or we could have said 200 take away 85 and we could have done it that way. If we're doing it this way, where we've made the 200 the bigger number, the number we subtract from, we have to remember that when we give an answer, it's going to be as a negative. So let's have a wee look just at generally adding a negative number, because sometimes you won't be faced with a story or a context. It will just purely be adding and subtracting negative numbers. Let's look at a good tip or a good process in order to go through and solve these. So we've got 7 add negative 2. And a good way to remember it is, if you have got a positive number, if you've got a plus sign and then a subtract sign, if they come up against each other, then what we always say, you've probably heard me say this 100 times, we know that the negative always wins. So 7 add -2, we can rewrite that as 7 take away 2, which is very easy for us to do, and that's 5. 7 add -2, it's hard to say. 7 take away 2, a lot easier, so we can rewrite it like that and find our answer. 15 add -9, again, I've got the positive coming up against the negative, so I can rewrite that as 15 take away 9. It's a lot easier to deal with, and that becomes 6. This time I've got -2, add -3. Nothing happens to this -2 because there's nothing in front of it, so that just stays as -2. This time I've got a positive that comes up against a negative, so I can rewrite this as -3. And I've now practiced my negative numbers, so -2 take away 3, it's going to get colder, it's going to get further away from 0, so that becomes -5. That's all from me just now. Thanks very much for listening and watching. As always, if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. This is Mr. Gillen signing off. Speak to you all soon.